All right. All right. What's up, kids? Welcome back. Um, so I have been thinking a lot on exactly how I want to present, like, on YouTube, kind of like how I want to make videos, and like what goes into becoming art. And I feel like I've never really explained what I meant in that first video of I'm art. And to me, being art is just being more than your job, being more than your current standing in life, and just being more than how you're perceived. And I think becoming art, I know I literally started with with like going through art history, which I still plan on doing. I've kind of dropped the ball on that, on educating myself further on art and art history, but I needed to kind of take some different paths. There is a method to the madness, and I wanted to kind of just showcase my ideas and my ideas moving forward. And right now, what I'm trying to do is, I mean, I showed you the Duolingo thing, so that's kind of like of how I'm learning language, and I'm gonna be when I add something different to Duolingo and to Lingodeer, I'll also showcase that, and continuously do that. What I was gonna do for this video was to go over kind of like phrases that I learned. I never wrote them down, but then I decided, well, why not just like talk about what exactly I plan on doing, like what is going on. Like right now I'm reading Love Theoretically, and that's why I'm doing like a YouTube assessment and kind of just like casually talking about what I plan on doing on YouTube, because this is kind of like my break. This is like my break from reading philosophy books, reading about philosophy. I just finished the book of philosophy, the history book, and right now I'm reading a book by Mark Rothko on his philosophical take on art. And I still have like that history, the history of philosophy that I'm gonna read, and then I'm gonna go back into reading about things that Plato made, and then probably start reading things that Aristotle made right after that. I'm gonna follow the philosophy book. I'm just gonna go in chronological order, and in between there, I'm gonna sprinkle some art history in there, and maybe like some phrases that I've learned throughout the week. But my plan now, since I don't have much time to edit, there was a really funny part in the book that I was like giggling about, because I finally got to the part, and Mama was like, you're gonna die when you start getting to the steamy parts of this book's like a romance book, and I was cracking up because it's not something that I'm like used to reading. It's not something that that I'm just used to. It's not something that like I normally partake in, and it I don't say like it cringes me, but it makes me giggle. Like I'm new to it, and it's a nice reprieve from the things that I'm normally doing, which is very, very dry stuff. I'm doing contracts, negotiations. I'm looking at terms and conditions all day. Like that's what I normally do as a job, and then I like start reading about philosophy and start reading about art history, and those are pretty dry. And then learning about language, it's a little bit more fun, a little bit more not as dry, but it's still like one of those educational pieces that I need to partake in. And reading these books that Alexis loves, that she like reads, is fun because it's something that we can bond together. Same thing when she like reads some of my books, but some of my books are a little bit boring. Maybe once I start reading some of the other books, like that aren't just strictly about philosophical theory, like let's see, like Zarathustra by Nietzsche, or I don't know, something like by Kurt Vonnegut, would be like The Cat's Cradle, like something philosophical in nature, but also has like a nice little story to it. Those are the ones I'll probably start recommending to her rather than The Republic. And I still do wholeheartedly believe that The Republic is just like a nice story that you're reading, and all his like all philosophers are basically just poets, right? They're just writers, and some of them are more colorful. Some of them use real people. Some of them, they could have made it up, like whoever wrote the Bible. Philosophical take. And we just labeled it religion, right? Anyway, let's not deep dive into conspiracy here. But so my plan is, since I feel like I'm just in the learning stage, right? I'm going to be in the learning stage for a very long time. I feel like I'm going to be in the learning stage of these three fundamental things: language learning, art history, and philosophy, for a very long time. I plan on adding certain other things in there that will make more sense once I actually settle down and just start partaking in those things. Like I eventually plan on becoming a lawyer. Your dad's gonna be a lawyer, and probably get my PhD in philosophy at some point. Become Dr. Philosopher. Probably get like a third brain. Wouldn't that be sick? And I'll take you on the journey of how that goes, and maybe I fail, maybe I succeed. I don't know. But right now we're still finishing my bachelor's. We're finishing our bachelor's, and I'm almost done. I have one class left. I should be graduating by December, and then I'm gonna take a break and hopefully settle down somewhere. Hopefully move somewhere, and then once we're kind of settled down and work isn't as hectic, that's when I'll start studying, and I'll start incorporating my study sessions into YouTube and like add my thoughts on those. And those ones I'll be a little bit more nuanced. I'll be able to conversate a little bit better, just because I completely understand how terms and conditions work. I know how liabilities work. I know how warranties work. That's what I do on a day-to-day, right? I can go about negotiation tactics and speak very eloquently about negotiations and how you can go hard or soft pause on things like that in that matter, right? I can tell you about stories of I negotiated down this contractor and got 10% off, and I did like a 3-year and got a staggered percentage off on so and so. Like I could go on, and that's what I'm actually good at, right? Those are things that define me right now. That is my career. That is where that's what I did in the military. That's what I'm continuing to do now, and that is what is defining me. That is me as a person in the professional aspect. Me as a person to my friends and family are also completely different. Probably has nothing to do with contracts or or any of that matter. They have a preconceived notion of me already. And you probably, as like a young child, you also have like a way that you see me. But I want to be able to eloquently speak on what I actually find interesting and what I find fun. Like, oddly enough, maybe because I read so many boring things that I'm attracted to these other. I do think like philosophy is boring. I think that art history is pretty boring. And I think learning a language is pretty boring. But these are the things that like interest me, and I don't know if it's because that's just what I've been exposed to, and that's what like piques my interest. And I know that seems paradoxical, but just because something piques your interest doesn't mean that it has to be exciting, right? Like there's a lot of things that I find exciting that I would just never do. I find basketball very exciting. I would never play basketball. I'm 5'5". I'm not gonna play basketball. I find boxing and Muay Thai, those are very exciting. But I'm not gonna go and out here punch someone or get punched in the face myself, right? Those are things that I find exciting. Going to art shows, going to I'm not gonna go to like a TED Talk. Definitely not. Maybe like when I'm way older, I might go to a TED Talk. Things that I'm doing right now, like doing contracts and stuff and negotiating, like those are also pretty boring to me. Like those are incredibly boring to me. Like what's fun to me and what's exciting is like scribbling and doodling and like watching you kids do the same thing. Like you got like I find it super exciting that when I draw something or when I doodle something, me and you guys are like on the same level. I find that so funny, and that's why I think I kind of like to paint and like to draw, because it's something that we can like bond over. There's not many things that we're on the same page on when like we're on the same level, but those things, and even now, like Lily is like she's surpassing me in drawing, and I find that absolutely hilarious. And in instinctual like paintings and drawings, I think Oliver and Amaya are already passing me, and those are like super awesome. But it's awesome that I'm like right there with you guys. Like I'm learning everything the same way that you guys are learning, and I think that's super cool. And that's why I want to keep doing that aspect, like the creation portion and drawing and painting. That's why I want to incorporate that to this. But in this situation, like right now, what you guys are watching on YouTube and what I'm actually gonna be start outputting from now on, it's gonna just be like glimpse. It's not gonna have, oh excuse me, not gonna have background talk. It's just gonna be me talking, and you kind of just get like a fever dream, and you have to build your own context of what's going on versus what I'm actually talking about. But I think that you guys will like enjoy this, like looking back on this when you're older and seeing like what your old man was up to, and how I lived as like a 30-year-old. And I want you guys to see what hard work does. I want you to see how it pays off, and eventually when you guys start kind of reading this, like maybe we're gonna be speaking together in French, maybe we're gonna be speaking together in Korean, maybe we're gonna be have arguments on whether Carl Jung was really truly influenced by Nietzsche, and whether are we reading Nietzsche's words or is it really his sister's words? Like, is he really anti-Semitic? What's going on? Why is that the defining factor of this guy, when we know that his sister was the one that was a sympathizer and the one that had most of his things when he died? Like, maybe we're just labeling this guy wrong, and things that we're looking at are not exactly the finalized his version of it. Maybe there's somewhere out there. And that's, of course, a conversation for another time when you guys are older and you want to have conversations about that type of stuff. But I'm doing this because it's what interests me, and I want to be able to communicate my interests in an informative manner. Eventually, I want to be able to make a video on the nuances of Aristotle and his different books. I want to be able to go about and be able to compare, because I have a deep understanding of these philosophers and how they relate to this artistic period, and maybe how one book from I don't know, let's see, from Botticelli, like maybe for one book from Machiavelli influenced a whole renaissance of art, and this is what the art that came out of it was. Maybe this is complete BS, and I don't know if this is true or not. Like, maybe Pablo Picasso read so and so, and that's why he had this book, right? Oh, and also I want to start incorporating history. I mean, we're already diving deep into history anyway. Like, right? We're diving deep into philosophical history. We're going in order. We're going in order of art history, and then in between those, there are wars. There are certain things that influence, and we're not gonna like go deep dive in every single historical timeline. But I do want to like partake in some of the conversations about like when when Guernica was bombed, and when Pablo Picasso decided to draw Guernica or paint Guernica, and why that inspired him, and what that situation that's happening in those moments. I think I'm gonna keep doing these kind of like little glimpses of when I'm painting or when I'm reading. Essentially, when I'm just doing something like that. When I'm not working. Like, maybe I'll do one where I'm just playing like a little bit of my dailies on Lost Ark. Some of my video games, and I'm talking over them. But what I plan on doing from now on is everything will just be kind of a glimpse of what I'm doing, and communicating whatever I learned that week. I'm hoping it could become a tangent, and I ramble into infinity, which would be awesome, because that's the whole goal, is to be able is to be able to communicate in a succinct and concise manner during a strenuous period of time, a long period of time. Not strenuous, I mean, it is kind of strenuous, but a long period of time, and to be able to do it eloquently, fluently, and to get my point across without saying or like or whatever too many times, and actually getting my point across. And then I feel like once I get to that point, because I hate hate writing, which is gonna be so funny in the next like 30 years that I say that I hate writing. Like I hate writing, and I don't want to write or script things out. Like I can write, I can write and I can type, and I can get my thoughts on paper and refine them and make them sound good and do what you need to do to become an excellent YouTuber. But I'm not really trying to be an excellent YouTuber. I think YouTube is kind of my outlet and a platform for me to put this out there. And of course, I'm not gonna lie and say like this is. I'm not trying to become famous, but I'm definitely trying to become rich. You know what I'm saying? It's there's always a chance that one of these videos can go viral or pop off, whatever the case is, or you find your audience in the next 5 to 10 years. You find an audience that's willing to support you in whatever cause and however these seem fit. And if that's giving you money or giving you views, that both things are kind of the same. And that's kind of like the whole point, because they want to know what you're speaking on and what you're speaking about, what your thought is about, blah 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 blah, right? That's kind of the point of YouTube. But I'm not trying to be good at YouTube. I'm not trying to be great at YouTube. I'm trying to be great at becoming a whole person that is able to tackle multiple situations that you could potentially see yourself in. I want to be able to have suggestions for you when I think that you're struggling in a certain situation. I want to be able to not just say like walk it off, or I don't want to just be just rambling. I'm like, well, in my time, this is what I did, and then maybe that does interest you, but I want to be able to point you in a direction that I think that your situation sounds similar to what this person is writing about. This very influential person is speaking on, or at least develop some of my interests a little bit better. The philosophical take is really just to do what I just told you, what I just said right now, is to better communicate things that I can't communicate myself to you effectively. People that are way smarter than me were able to put it on paper and to kind of put their thoughts down and influence generations and generations. And I want to be able to shift through those and recommend the ones that I think are valuable for you at the present moment, whatever thing you're going through. And the art thing is really just for my own sake, because, well, not only for my own sake, but also for creating kind of a I don't want to like a bridge between what you're interested now and what you could be interested on later, and what also is like interesting to your mom, and what's what I also find interesting that she finds interesting, that we can like bridge together. And she might be more interested on the aspect of creating, and I think she's like very talented and she's gonna go super far. And I'm more interested on like the logical aspect of what these people went through and how they created their art. Because maybe I'll write a book for your mom one day, or I'll write a book for you guys, or whatever the case is. But I also like to write and do poetry. I like to make stuff like that, and I want to be able to have other aspects of life where I can kind of like take from and write that down. And I think some of the most beautiful things in the world are paintings and drawings and people's minds. I want to be able to kind of like deep dive in people's minds and put those down on paper too, and what kind of aggregate all of them, make an amalgamation of all these things that I'm learning. The language thing, because I love France, I love Paris. I want to be able to go to Paris, and I want to be able to like speak to locals eventually, because I feel like we're gonna go there a bunch of times. And a lot of philosophical books are written in French, even though English is probably the best language to learn now, just because, of course, you already know English, but just because there's so many great translators that are translating it to English anyway, and there's so many things that, like programs that are being created that'll translate everything for you anyway. But it's what I enjoy, that's the country that I enjoy, and I want to go deeper into that country and explore all it's just so vibrant. Like everything kind of starts in Europe. And I also want to learn Korean, because I love Korean shows, and I think Korean TV has some of the the most robust kind of shows of human emotions right now. They make me laugh the most. They make me cry the most. It used to be Japanese anime, but now it's kind of like maybe I've outgrown a little bit of the anime, but I hope not. But right now, the Korean like K dramas, they make me laugh the most. They make me cry the most. They have like their stories are just so robust, and I want to be able to enjoy them in that native tongue. And I love the food. I love the food. We go to we go to the hot pots and the Korean grills all the time. Like, it's delicious. And it's an Asian language, so hopefully that translates if we ever go to like China or Japan or whatever. Hopefully that translates. But then you always have English to fall back on, just because everyone does business with English people, Americans and Europeans. Especially in Europe, you can fall back on English pretty reliantly, and you can fall back on French pretty reliantly. In Africa and most of Europe, you can fall back on those two languages. I feel like those two languages cover a lot. What else? Yeah, I want to show you guys these kind of snippets of what I do and what I find fun, and then kind of just like babble about what I learned that week, or babble about a book that I did. So what I'm thinking is, when I'm doing a philosophy book, I'm gonna be painting, because I wanna be able to like paint, right, and get better at painting. When I am doing a when I'm reading like these types of books and I end up like talking, it's more gonna be just kind of like free form in my thought for that specific time, like what's on my mind, and how I want to relate to you guys that information. And then I'm still trying to think on maybe when I'm reading these also, I'll also talk about art. I don't know, I was kind of enjoying like the playtime with the kids, with you guys, on when I do the art stuff, but we'll see. And then I guess these could be where I do the language one, when I'm reading like a book, like a romance book. I can do the language ones in that one. And then I don't know, or maybe it'll just be random, who knows. But this is kind of the process right now, me doing voiceover while you guys watch me do something, whether that's like reading a book, painting, creating something, maybe I'm just playing a game, whatever the case is. That'll be the format for now. But then once I'm more eloquent and more knowledgeable in these aspects, I will start making actual guides and have actual reviews for books and philosophers and artists and paintings, and just have a more concise thought output for those things when I'm ready and able. I don't foresee myself doing that for the next like 3 to 4 years. I'm assuming I'm just gonna continue like this for a while, at least until we get a house. And once we get a house, maybe they'll change. We'll see, I guess, in the next year or two. But for now, I love you guys, and thank you for watching. Hope that I am able to teach you or inspire you to joining in on the things that I'm learning and things that I'm doing. I love you guys.